Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to the In the Zone daily ACD recap for Wednesday, May 18th, 2016. In these recap videos, I go over the best ACD setups that occurred on this day, and these videos are intended to show the type of trades the ACD method offers on a daily basis. Let's take a look at what happened today. Now, today we had the Fed coming out with their minutes today at 2 o'clock, so on these days you always want to be careful. This morning we put our opening range in. You can see from the gray area here, the first bar of the day, 10-minute opening range, from 2040 down to 2036 and a quarter. That made our A points, the A up at 2043.69 and an A down at 2032.56. What I always like to do is, let the market put in the opening range, find out where the A points are, and then try to build a plan around this. Today, I had a bit of a, sometimes it's best to come into trading without, preconceived notions. We had our macro number today was -4, yet 30 days ago we had a +2. So we're going to drop that +2, which makes that -4 a -6. So going into today, I thought, as weak as the market is when we opened, if we push up and try to confirm an A up and it fails, and then we roll over and we go and we put in an A down, that would be a -3 day. So when we're starting the day at a -6, and if you add a -3 to it, you get -9. And let me bring up, hang on just a second, let me bring up my, bring this over into view here. This is my macro number. This is how I keep track of them. And this is my score in here. And you can see our score is -4, but we're going to drop this +2 today. And then if you add a -3 there, you get to -9. Well, a while back we hit 0, and this is a number line right here. So we hit 0, then we went to -1, -4 again. We got to -8, but then jumped back up to -4. We went back to 4. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for us to go from 0 to -9, and then if you do that, then you need to stay there for two days in a row in order to confirm that signal, and then it's likely that we'll see a sell-off. Well, the market is acting like it wants to sell off, but it's not been able to do so just yet. Okay, so with that in mind, when we approached the A up this morning, I faded the A because I'm thinking, we're going to fail this A up and maybe roll over and go down and confirm an A down. But this one confirmed really fast this morning. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that the A is not close to the pivot range, okay? I would not call this close, okay? So if this confirms in here and you still have the pivot range to go through, then you might not be as anxious to get on board the long trade. Now, I wish I would have, but I didn't. I actually tweeted out that, that I'm out of the fade, but not going long because we haven't gotten through the pivot range yet. And today I wish I would have just, reversed position and gotten long, because it was a nice little pop that popped up through the pivot range. Let me bring up my 1-minute chart here and show you. Here is the A point. You can see that, like I said, the A point is very subjective as to when it's confirmed because of who's looking at it. Okay, this bar you could count as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and say that it's confirmed. But you have time when it's spent below the line and time that it's spent above the line. So depending on where you want to draw the line here, you could say that this was confirmed, or you could have held out for bars that are only above the A point. And if you would have done that, then you could probably count this one 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's way up here. Well, your 11 tick stop would have been taken out here at 2046.50 before that happened. So when you're taken out here with the stop, like I said, I wish I would have turned around and gone long, because you're talking from 46.50 up to 52. That's a nice little push there, nice push through the pivot. And but I don't want these videos to be about my trading. I just want them to be about, you know, the ACD method, and how you can think for yourself as to, you know, what actions that you want to take based upon your risk parameters, and you know, because everybody has different size accounts, they have different ways of trading, and I just want these videos, I don't want them to be about my trading, I want them to be about the ACD. So this confirmed, shot up, got through the pivot range pretty quickly. Okay, I thought that, you know, it might struggle here at the pivot range, but it didn't. It went right through it. So now you've got an A up through the pivot, and Fisher would say, you know, step on the gas and load up, and reduce your risk by using the bottom of the pivot range as your stop. Well, they took that out pretty quickly too. So the stop, it took the stop out. Well, at this point, you would just, you know, wait and see, and price pushes back up. They one tick above here, and then pull back down, and then finally get going. And so all of this action kind of surprised me. But, you know, being that it's the day that the Fed's going to announce their minutes, you know, I guess there was a lot of manipulation in the market. And, you know, sometimes maybe it's just best to sit these type of days out when you know there's going to be manipulation, because, like I said, you got an A up through the pivot here that gets stopped out immediately, and then turns around and is able to continue to push up. But then it rolls over, takes out the pivot range again, goes all the way through the opening range. Okay, so this would be your B stop if you're using Fisher, or, you know, a closing bar would be you know, what I would use, but the closing bar came way down here, so this you know, but anyway, I wouldn't have been long at this point anyway. But what I'm trying to say is that today there was a lot of manipulation in the market. We pushed all the way down through the pivot range again, came down through the opening range, came down here, confirmed the C down, okay, but then it bounced, okay, and this trade sort of reminded me of, in Fisher's book, he talks about the treacherous trade, where, but in that trade, he mentions the pivot range being near the C point. And in this case, the pivot range wasn't near the C point, but the trade is very similar to that treacherous trade, where, you know, it sells off all the way from here, all the way down, and then at the C point, you know, the treacherous trade is you would buy, okay? And with the treacherous trade, like I said, the pivot range would be there also. But this is not a treacherous trade, okay? But I'm just saying that it's like it. And you can get long here for a bounce, and that's exactly what happened. There was a bounce, but this is a very, you know, gutsy trade here. This is a very hard trade to put on. And of course, you're going to have to come up with some sort of parameters for yourself as to, you know, what, how much room you're going to give it before you jump out. But this, the C down, okay, is not the same as this A down, okay. From the best I can figure, Fisher used 5% of the 30-day average. So today, that C down point was at about 35 and a quarter. Okay, so 35 and a quarter was the C down, and during this time it did confirm the C down, but then pushed back up and took out the D point, which is the top of the opening range. Okay, and then of course went back up to the pivot range, found resistance there again, rolled back over, came back down. If you notice where this came, it came back down to that C down level here at the 35.25 area, and then bounced back up, and we closed above the opening range. So this day was a mess, okay? And you know, sometimes you might just say, you know what, on these days that the Fed's going to, you know, do their deal, I'm going to sit the market out, because there's going to be some, you know, wild swings that are going to make it hard to have low risk trades. And I'm all about trying to get low risk trades, okay? And like I said, I started out the day thinking that we could have a -3 day on our macro score, and we ended up having a +3. And that's because we had an A up, which gives us +2. We came down here and confirmed the A down, but because it couldn't close below the opening range, and it actually closed above the opening range, you've got to give yourself a point for this failed C. So now we've got a +3 day instead of a -3 day. So like I said, sometimes it's best to come into the market without preconceived notions about what's going to happen on a particular day. So hopefully this this video helps you understand what was happening today. And like I said, today was a very hard day to try to get on board a low risk trade. And the best trade, I think the best trade actually was, you know, going long once the A up confirmed. And like I said, I didn't take it because we still had to make it through the pivot range. And even though we made it through the pivot range and that pivot range low failed to hold, it turned right around and went right back up. So, you know, tough day. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Hopefully this video has been helpful, and look forward to talking to you again. See you later.